January 1st, Disney loses their copyright protection on Steamboat Willie, as Steamboat Willie enters the public domain. January 2nd, Jimmy Kimmel, one of their most prominent employees, feuds with Aaron Rodgers on ESPN's most prominent show, The Pat McAfee Show. Man, I hate to see what January 3rd brings. This has been a rough year so far for Disney. Welcome everybody to JG9 News, the channel where we talk all things NFL all the time. I'm Jaguar9 representing the 904 from the 602, and today we are talking about the bizarre controversy that's happening right now between Aaron Rodgers, the starting quarterback of the Jets, and Jimmy Kimmel on ABC. Because I'm sure when the schedule came out and Aaron Rodgers went to the Jets, we all thought that this is what we were going to be talking about entering Week 18. Not the playoffs, not the Jets ending their long playoff drought, no, Jimmy Kimmel against Aaron Rodgers. What a season it's been in New York. So if you missed it on Tuesday, Aaron Rodgers talked on the Pat McAfee Show, as he does every Tuesday, and talked about the Epstein List and mentioned Jimmy Kimmel's name in there. Aaron Rodgers, in a passing comment, said on that show, in front of the large audience that the Pat McAfee Show has, and on a Disney-owned network, mind you, there are a lot of people, including Jimmy Kimmel, really hoping that doesn't come out. As you can probably expect, Jimmy Kimmel was not too pleased about this. Aaron Rodgers just going after Jimmy Kimmel like that, completely unprompted. And Kimmel said on that, "Dear expletive, for the record, I've not met, flown with, visited, or in any contact whatsoever with Epstein, nor will you find my name on any list other than the clearly phony nonsense that soft-brained wackos like yourself can't seem to distinguish from reality. Your reckless words put my family in danger. Keep it up, and we will debate the facts further in court." So Jimmy Kimmel has threatened a lawsuit against Aaron Rodgers. We will see where this goes. But I just want to give my thoughts again. I went to law school. I studied communication law. I studied defamation to some extent. Not as extensively as copyright law, but I do have a pretty solid understanding and background on defamation, especially when it comes to public figures. And just my thoughts on where this lawsuit could potentially go if Jimmy Kimmel decides to file suit. Now, first off, the thing with public figures is that it is very, very hard to prove defamation. It is not the same standard that you apply to a normal person in the private sphere. Jimmy Kimmel is absolutely a public figure. He would qualify by any definition as a public figure, seeing as he is on a prominent show that airs nationwide every single weeknight and is a very prominent comedian. So he is a public figure. The standard is significantly higher for public figures, where you have to not only prove that the statements are false, but you have to prove that the person making those statements knew and had reckless disregard for the truth. And that is very, very tough to prove. It is very different from a private person where defamation is a heck of a lot easier to prove. And I don't know how the heck Jimmy Kimmel is going to prove this, because I don't even know if he can prove that the statements in question were false. And here's what I mean by that. I don't know if Kimmel is on the list or not. In all likelihood, he is probably not. I do not want to speculate in the slightest bit on anyone being on that list. But having said that, because the bar is really high, Aaron Rodgers, all he said was that Jimmy Kimmel was going to be upset about the list. He never said directly that he was on the list. And this could mean a lot of different things, because one person that has been rumored to be on the list, and we have a pretty good idea is on the list, is former President Bill Clinton. And Bill Clinton has been on Jimmy Kimmel's show before. He was on the show in 2014. In 2017, Kimmel spoke about Clinton and the support that he received from him after some tragedy happened with his kid. This could be what Rodgers was referring to. Any lawyer worth his weight would say that Rodgers was referring to Kimmel being upset about his buddy and not Kimmel himself being on the list. Again, Rodgers never directly said that Kimmel was on the list. So proving anything that Rodgers said is going to be extremely tough to do in the first place, because Rodgers never said that Kimmel was on the list. He just said that he would be upset about the list. And there's nothing really defamatory about that whatsoever. You could easily construe Rodgers' comments to mean that, and that would be a heck of a defense, and a defense that any lawyer would make. And then even besides the lawsuit element, which again, I don't think Kimmel will end up suing Rodgers because it will be very hard to prove defamation. He will lose that case easily. I don't think it even has a shot at going to court. You obviously have the bigger picture here, which is that ABC is owned by Disney, and Jimmy Kimmel Live is on ABC, and ESPN is owned by Disney, and Pat McAfee Show, which is where Aaron Rodgers made those comments, that is owned by Disney on ESPN. So you basically have an ABC employee and an ESPN show fighting against each other right now. And that is going to be a very, very messy situation. I don't know what this means for the future of Aaron Rodgers on the Pat McAfee Show, because Pat McAfee has gotten pretty full creative control on ESPN. The only thing is that he can't say the F-bomb anymore. But other than that, he's got license to do whatever he wants to bring on his own guests. I don't know if that's going to change. I don't know if that's going to change now that Aaron Rodgers has attacked Jimmy Kimmel, and Jimmy Kimmel is a very prominent employee making millions of dollars a year for ABC and for Disney. So we will see what happens with Aaron Rodgers' future on the Pat McAfee Show, and we'll see if that leads to tension between Pat McAfee and ESPN, because McAfee obviously loves having Rodgers on the show. The ratings are very high. He's had him on the show for a while now, but now with this controversy, I don't know if that's going to happen anymore. There's a lot to dive into with that, and we will see where the cards fall. But just a very interesting situation nonetheless. I just want to get my thoughts on that just because Jimmy Kimmel did bring up the possibility of a lawsuit. Anytime I can work my legal knowledge into something like this in the NFL, in the sports communication world, I want to get my stab at it. But again, I don't think a lawsuit is going to go anywhere. I don't think Kimmel would sue Rodgers. I think that would be a bad look for him considering everything that we know about defamation law and considering the fact that Rodgers did not directly say that Kimmel was on the list. But what are your thoughts on what Rodgers said? What are your thoughts on Kimmel's response? What do you think of what a lawsuit would possibly look like? Let me know in the comments down below. If you like what you saw, be sure to like and subscribe. Helps the channel out a lot. Also, if you like NFL history, be sure to subscribe to my main channel, Jaguar9, where we talk all things NFL all the time. Until next time, Jaguar9 signing off, and as always, go Jags.